The scorching sun cast a golden hue over the empty school ground. The soft rustling of trees filled the air, yet silence settled between two figures standing in the middle of the open space. You clutched your books tightly against your chest, your heart racing. Across from you stood Jungkook, the school's cold heartthrob, the boy every girl secretly or openly adored. But right now his deep brown eyes were locked only on you. Say it, Wine, Jungkook demanded, his voice laced with desperation. Say you love me. You lowered your gaze, unable to meet the intensity of his stare. Your fingers trembled slightly, pressing harder against your books, as if they could shield you from the weight of his words. You wanted to say it, wanted to scream it, but you couldn't, not when the consequences would be far greater than your happiness. Jungkook stepped closer, his hands gripping your shoulders gently yet firmly, forcing you to look at him. Look at me, Van, he murmured, his breath warm against your skin. Why can't you just say it? I know you feel the same way. I can see it in your eyes. Your throat felt dry. You could see it too, the raw, unfiltered love swimming in his eyes, the silent plea for you to just admit it. But you couldn't, not now, not when a storm was brewing behind his back. You swallowed the lump in your throat. Leave me, Jungkook, you whispered, your voice barely above a breath. I have class to attend. I'm getting late. His fingers tightened for a brief moment before he slowly let go. He watched as you turned around and hurried away, your figure growing smaller with each step. Frustration boiled within him, and in a moment of helpless anger, he slammed his fist into the ground, sending a cloud of dust. Damn it, he muttered under his breath, his jaw clenching. Unbeknownst to either of you, a pair of sharp, calculating eyes had been watching the entire exchange from behind a tree. Mia's nails dug into the bark, her face contoured with rage. So this is why, she whispered to herself, her lips curling into a smirk. Jungkook, you're in love with that bloody mate's daughter. Her blood boiled at the realization. Everything made sense now. Why Jungkook visited your house more often. Why he always appeared around you. Why his cold demeanor melted only in your presence. Mia let out a bitter laugh. I didn't know till now, she mused, tilting her head, but now I understand. Oh, you're going to regret this. A sinister smile spread across her lips as an idea formed in her mind. She turned on her heels and struggled towards the classroom, her mind already weaving a plan. The classroom buzzed with the sounds of chatter and laughter as students enjoyed their break. Mia, sitting comfortably at her desk with her group of friends, scanned the room before her gaze landed on you. A smirk formed on her lips as she leaned back in her chair. Ryan, Mia called out, her voice loud enough to draw the attention of her friends. Bring juices for me and my friends. You, who were focused on your book, didn't look up. I have work now, you replied calmly, trying to ignore her. Mia smirked deepened. I'm not requesting you, I'm ordering you, she said, her voice dripping with authority. If you don't get it now, I know your mother won't be able to work anywhere. Your fingers clenched around the edges of your book. You knew Mia's father believed every word his daughter said without question. If Mia wanted, she could make sure your mother lost her job in an instant. Mia raised an eyebrow. So, do you want me to call my father? A heavy silence fell over the group. You took a deep breath, trying to suppress the anger and humiliation building inside you. Slowly, you closed your book and stood up. I'll get it. Just then, the door swung open and Jungkook walked in. His sharp eyes quickly took on the situation. His gaze shifted from you to Mia, understanding immediately what was happening. Sit down, Jungkook said firmly. I'll get it. Mia scoffed, rolling her eyes. I told my maid, not you, Jungkook. You stiffened. The word maid hit you like a slap. You knew it. It was the truth. Your mother worked for Mia's family, and by extension, you were seen as lesser. But hearing it so bluntly from Mia in front of everyone still stung. Jungkook's jaw clenched. Mia? Before he could say more, Mia tilted her head and smirked. Jungkook, come on. Do you really want me to call your dad and tell him about the incident? You know the little problem you had 3 months ago? Jungkook froze, his fist clenched at his sides. Mia was referring to one of time he had taken under his friend's pressure. He had stopped immediately after you had told him to not take it and spoil his life. But Mia knew how to use it against him. You, noticing his hesitation, spoke up. Jungkook, wait, I'll get it. Your voice was firm, though your heart ached inside. Please don't involve yourself in my matters. Jungkook looked at you, frustration flickering in his eyes. He wanted to argue, to stand up for you, but you had already turned and walked toward the canteen. Mia watched the scene unfold with satisfaction as Jungkook shot her a disgusted look and walked out of the classroom. She leaned back with a victorious grin. One of her friends, Hannah, leaned in. Mia, do you really think you can keep using that against Jungkook forever? Mia smirked. Why not? He's an idiot. The fact that he let her control his decisions back then is hilarious. He stopped because of her. Can you believe that? The other girls giggled, but Mia, another friend, Sora said, don't you think he's actually in love with her? The way he looks at her, it's different. Mia's expression darkened for a moment before she forced a smile. Jungkook doesn't love her. He's just playing with her because he's bored. Hannah raised an eyebrow. Then why do you care so much? Mia shot her a glare. I don't care. I just don't like seeing a low standard girl thinking she is worth something. She flicked her hair over her shoulder. Jungkook belongs to our world, not hers. She needs to remember her place. Sora exchanged a look with Hannah but said nothing. They knew Mia was lying to herself. They had all seen the way Jungkook acted around you, how his usual cold demeanor softened when you were near, but no one dared to challenge Mia. Mia sighed dramatically. Anyway, it's fun to watch. She's too proud to accept help, and Jungkook is too stubborn to leave her alone. It's entertaining. Later, you returned to the classroom carrying the tray of juices, carefully placing them on Mia's desk. You avoided eye contact. You were about to walk back to your seat when Mia's voice rang out. Wait, take my books from my bag and finish my assignments, she said, flipping her hair. You turned around, your hands clenching at your sides. I have my own studies to do, Mia. I can't. Mia narrowed her eyes, tilting her head. Oh, so you're refusing me now? Do you want me to call my father? Should I tell him that your mother is being careless at work? Your heart sank. You knew that threat was real. Mia's father trusted his daughter blindly. If Mia complained, your mother could lose her job. Taking a deep breath, you swallowed your pride. Fine, you muttered, walking towards Mia's back. Mia smirked, crossing her legs as she sipped her juice. Good girl. I want it done by tomorrow morning. No mistakes. As you sat at your desk, flipping open Mia's assignment book, you felt the weight of a gaze burning into you. You turned slightly and met Jungkook's eyes. He was sitting beside your table, his fist clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Jungkook's jaw locked, his dark with anger. He had been watching the entire scene unfold, his frustration growing. He hated how Mia treated you. It wasn't new. Mia always acted like she owned people, including him. She had been forcing her presence on him for years just because their families were close, their parents were business partners, and because of that, he expected to maintain a friendship with her. But Mia wasn't his best friend. She just liked to act as if she was. She wanted control over him, over everything, and now she was enjoying the fact that both you and Jungkook were hurting. Mia glanced at Jungkook, noticing his expression. Oh, Jungkook, don't look so angry, she said playfully. I'm just making sure my assignments get done. She should be grateful, right? I mean, she gets her to help me. It's an honor, isn't it? You didn't answer, keeping your head down. You just wanted to get it over with. Jungkook's fingers curled into a fist. He wanted to say something to stop Mia from treating you like a servant, but he knew how manipulative Mia was. If he interfered again, she would use his past mistake against him. Mia leaned back in her chair, completely satisfied. She loved this. She loved seeing your silent suffering, and she loved seeing Jungkook's anger, knowing he couldn't do anything about it. Jungkook took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm, but one thing was clear, he wasn't going to let this continue for much longer. You were wiping down the already spotless glass table in the lavish living room of Mia's house, your hands moving mechanically over the surface. The cloth felt rough against your tired fingers, but you continued, hoping Mia wouldn't find another excuse to make you repeat the task. Mia walked down the grand staircase, her expensive headphones resting over her ears as she murmured to herself. She spotted you immediately and smirked, pulling the headphones off. "What are you doing here, Ryan?" she asked, her tone laced with mockery. You straightened up slightly, gripping the cloth in your hands. "My mother isn't feeling well today, so I had to come and work in her place," you answered quietly. Mia scoffed, walking past you and dropping herself onto the couch. She stretched lazily and then glanced at the table. It still looks dirty. Clean it again." You clenched your jaw but nodded. "I already cleaned it, Mia. Did I ask?" She snapped, crossing her arms. "Clean it again, and do it properly this time." You sighed softly, lowering your gaze as you continued wiping the table. Now for the 10th time, Mia watched you with amusement before pulling out her phone. A mischievous smile curled on her lips as she opened the group chat. "Party at my house. Small get together. Come over now." Mrs. popped up instantly. Everyone agreeing. Everyone except Jungkook. Jungkook not coming. Mia frowned but quickly got an idea. She dialed his number. It rang once. He cut the call. She tried again. He rejected it again. Huffing in frustration, she called for the third time. This time Jungkook picked up, his voice annoyed. "What, Mia? Come to my house. We're all meeting up," she said sweetly. I said no. His voice was firm as usual. Mia smirked, turning to you. "Just a second," she said into the phone before calling out loudly. "Why aren't you cleaning properly? My friends are coming. Do it right." Jungkook's breath hitched. "You were at her house." "I'm coming," he said abruptly and ended the call. "I know, Jungkook. Now you will come. Let's have fun. You're loving this maid rejecting me." She smirked evilly. Mia's friends arrived first, chatting and laughing as they settled into the luxurious space. You were in the kitchen preparing juices for everyone as Mia had ordered. Jungkook entered a few minutes later, his sharp eyes scanning the room. When he spotted you in the kitchen, he immediately stepped forward. "I'll help," he said, reaching for a glass. "No," you said firmly, stepping away. "Please, Jungkook, don't interfere." His brows furrowed. "Man," he forced a small smile and shook your head. "It's okay, just sit." Mia smirked from her seat, watching the interaction. "Good girl, one," she mocked. "Now, since you're already here, cook something nice for us." You froze. I didn't know much about cooking." "I don't wanna hear excuses. Get it to it," Mia interrupted. You swallowed hard, glancing at Jungkook, who was clenching his fist. Without another word, you turned to the kitchen, feeling defeated. You tried to focus, chopping vegetables carefully. Your hands trembled slightly from exertion and nerves. Then suddenly, ah, pain shot through your finger as the knife sliced through your skin. Blood oozed out and your eyes filled with tears as you gasped in pain. Before you could even react, Jungkook was beside you. "Man," his voice was filled with worry as he grabbed your hand gently, his warm fingers wrapped around yours as he guided your hand under the running water. "Be careful," he scolded softly, his voice filled with concern. You stared at him, watching his expression. He was angry, but more than that, he was worried. The way he held your hand so carefully, as if you were fragile, made your chest tighten. You felt your heart ache, knowing that no matter how much he cared for you, fate wouldn't let you. Jungkook turned off the tap and quickly grabbed a first aid kit from the counter. He took out a bandage and started wrapping your finger. Does it hurt a lot? He asked softly, his thumb brushing against your wrist. You shook your head. I'm fine. He didn't look convinced. Be careful next time. Before he could reply, Mia's voice cut through the moment. Jungkook, leave her. I will take care of it, she said, stepping into the kitchen. Jungkook stiffened, his jaw clenched as he turned to glare at her. Just leave, Mia. She frowned. I said leave. His voice was sharp, filled with barely contained rage. I don't what I'll do if you try to control me again. Mia took a step back, gulping. She had never seen him this angry before. Without another word, she turned and walked out of the kitchen, her face burning with embarrassment. You stood there, staring at Jungkook, feeling an overwhelming mix of emotions, love, sadness, and something deeper, something painful. Jungkook was still holding your hand, his eyes softening as he looked at you. You don't deserve this, he whispered. You deserve so much better, Wine. You smiled sadly, lowering your gaze. This is my reality, Jungkook. He exhaled deeply, his grip tightening for a second before he slowly let go. For a brief moment, it felt like the world had stopped, like it was just the two of you in that lavish kitchen, heart speaking words that lips couldn't dare to say. The room was filled with laughter and chatter as everyone enjoyed the snacks you had prepared. Jungkook, sitting beside you, took a bite and looked at you with admiration. It's delicious, One, he said, his voice soft but clear enough for everyone to hear. You smiled slightly, feeling warmth spread in your heart, but before he could say anything, Mia scoffed, crossing her arms. It's just average. You looked down, swallowing the hurt. Mia always found ways to belittle you, even when you did something well. Jungkook clenched his fists but said nothing, knowing that arguing with Mia would only make things worse. Let's play truth or dare, Mia suddenly announced, smirking. Jungkook immediately shook his head. No. Oh come on, Mia pouted, turning to the group. You all want to play, right? Her friends eagerly agreed, laughing and getting excited for the game. Why don't you join too? Mia ordered, her voice firm. You hesitated. I don't want to. Mia's smile faded as she leaned forward. I wasn't asking, I was telling. Sit down. You sighed and sat down, knowing you had no choice. The game started, and people picked either truth or dare, laughing and teasing each other. Then the bottle spun and landed on you. Truth or dare, why? Mia asked. They thought for a second. You picked truth. Mia might ask something related to love or worse. About your feelings for Jungkook, you couldn't risk that. Dare, you said quietly. Mia smirked. Perfect. I dare you to kill Sam. Your body froze, your eyes widened in shock. What? Mia leaned back with a smug look. Kiss Sam, right now. You turned your head towards Jungkook, your heart pounding. He was staring at you intensely, his jaw clenched, his fist tightening on his knees. His dark eyes were unreadable, but you could feel the storm brewing inside him. No, you whispered, shaking your head. I don't kiss anyone. Mia's eyes darkened. I'm ordering you, not requesting. Understand? You felt your breathing become heavy. You wanted to escape, but Mia wasn't going to let you. Then she turned to Sam. Okay, if Ryan won't kiss, then you do it, Sam. Sam grinned and stood up. I'm ready. Panic surged through you. You could hear your heartbeat in your ears. You wanted to run, but your body refused to move. Your eyes darted to Jungkook, silently pleading for help, but he quickly turned his head away. Sam stepped closer, a smirk on his lips. You took a step back, your whole body shaking. Just as Sam was about to reach for you, Jungkook moved in. In one swift motion, he grabbed Sam by the collar and threw him back onto the couch. The room went silent before anyone could react. Jungkook turned to you, kept your face, and crushed his lips onto yours. Your eyes widened in shock. His lips were warm, soft, yet firm, moving against yours with urgency. Your mind went blank, your body melting into his touch. Without thinking, you kissed him back. Gas filled the room. The air was thick with tension and disbelief. You didn't care. The only thing that existed in that moment was Jungkook. His lips molding against yours, his fingers gripping your waist as if he would never let go. The kiss deepened, making your knees weak. It was passionate, desperate, filled with emotions he had been holding back for so long. It was as if he was claiming you in front of everyone. 2 whole minutes passed before someone forcefully pulled you away. Slap. Your head snapped to the side, pain stinging your cheek. You blinked in shock, touching your burning skin. Mia stood in front of you, her eyes blazing with fury. How dare you? She screamed. Before you could even react, there was sound of another slap. Jungkook had slapped Mia across the face. The sound echoed in the silent room. Mia stumbled back, holding her cheek, her face filled with disbelief and rage. Jungkook. Jungkook's chest heaved with anger, his dark eyes burning with pure hatred. How dare you touch Ryan? He roared. Mia was speechless, her lips trembling. Jungkook took a threatening step forward. You have crossed every limit, Mia. You humiliated her, ordered her around, and now you dare to hit her? Mia looked around her friends, but no one spoke. Even they were shocked at what had just happened. Jungkook turned back to you, his gaze softening. He reached out gently and touched your cheek where Mia had hit you. Are you okay? He whispered. Tears welled up in your eyes, but you nodded. Seeing the concern in his eyes made your heart ache. Jungkook looked back at Mia, his voice dangerously low. I tolerated you all these years for my family's sake, but I swear, Mia, if you ever lay a finger on wine again, you will regret it. Mia gritted her teeth, her fist shaking with anger. You're choosing a maid over me, over us? Jungkook let out a dry laugh. Us? There was never an us. You were just a spoiled brat who thought she owned me, but don't, and you will never. Mia gasped, stepping back as if his words physically hurt her. Jungkook turned to you and held your hand. Come on, Wan, we are leaving from here. You hesitated for a moment, glancing at everyone's shocked faces, but when you looked at Jungkook, his fingers gently wrapped around yours. You knew this was where you belonged. As you and Jungkook were ready to leave, the door already opened. Your eyes widened as you saw Jungkook's parents standing there along with Mia's parents. Their expressions were frozen in shock, their gazes locked on Jungkook, who had just slapped Mia. The air in the room turned away, silence stretching painfully. Mia's friend silently left from there. Mia clutched her cheek, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. She looked at her father, Mr. Choi, who was staring at Jungkook with a dark expression. Jungkook, why did you slap my daughter? His voice boomed. Jungkook stood, his grown, his jaw clenched, because she deserved it. She has been tormenting Wine for too long, treating her like a servant, blackmailing me, and controlling my life as if it belonged to her. I won't tolerate it anymore. Mia's mother gasped and grabbed her daughter's arm. Mia, is this true? Mia gulped, looking down, unable to meet their eyes, but her silence spoke volumes. Mia's mother gasped. What do you mean? Do you even know what you have done? How dare you raise your hand on her? Mia sniffled, tears brimming in her eyes as she pointed at you. It's all because of her. She took Jungkook away from me. Her mother turned to Jungkook. So you love the maid's daughter? Her voice dripped with disdain. Jungkook's father, Mr. Chun, took a step forward sharply. And what is wrong with that? Love doesn't have standards. I support my son. Mr. Choi's expression hardened. John, what is this? I agree, love doesn't have standards. But we had planned for Jungkook and Mia to marry after their college years, right? How can you suddenly change your mind? Mr. John sighed and shook his head. I'm sorry, Choi, but I want a girl who can guide my son on right path, not someone who manipulates him and plays with his emotions over a mistake he regrets. Jungkook lifted his chin and spoke with determination. As dad, I told you about my past mistake because I didn't want to be a puppet in Mia's hands anymore. She has been using it against me, and I can't watch Vine suffer because of her cruelty. Mr. Choi turned to his daughter. Is this true? Have you been using his past against him? Mia's lips trembled. Dad, I was just making sure he stayed on the right path. But Mr. Choi was not convinced. His face darkened, and before anyone could react, he raised his hand and slapped Mia across the cheek. The sound echoed in the room. You have embarrassed me, Mia. How could you do such things? I raised you better than this, he scolded angrily. Mia held her cheek, tears slipping down her face. She had never seen her father so furious before. I will send you abroad, he declared. You need to stay away from Jungkook and wine. I won't tolerate such behavior any longer. Mia gasped. No, Dad, please. But Mr. Choi ignored her plea and turned to Jungkook. I'm sorry, Jungkook. I had no idea my daughter was causing so much trouble. Jungkook gave a small nod. It's fine. I just want Wine to be safe from her games. Jungkook's mother stepped forward and smiled gently at you. So Wine, you love my son? You looked at Jungkook with teary eyes and nodded. Yes, I love him, but I never thought I would be allowed to. Jungkook reached out and wiped your tears with his thumb. Now you can love me without any fear, Wine. You sobbed, overwhelmed by emotions. I'm sorry for everything, Jungkook. He shook his head and cubed your face. No more apologies. I will always be with you. Mr. John cleared his throat, making you both look at him. I'm happy for you both, but there is one condition. You and Jungkook exchanged glances before looking back at him. What condition? Jungkook asked. You both need to be successful in your career first. Only then we will approve of your marriage. Understood? Mr. John said firmly. Even Jungkook nodded eagerly. We understand, you said with a smile. Jungkook's mother chuckled. And Jungkook, don't do anything naughty. Vine has many dreams to achieve. Right, dear? You blushed and nodded. Yes, I do. She opened her arms, and you welcomed for a second before stepping into her warm embrace. She hugged you tightly. Welcome to our family, Ryan. Jungkook smiled as he was to hug his mother. His father patted his back proudly. Meanwhile, Mia stood in the corner, her face twisted with anger and jealousy as she was to being accepted into Jungkook's family. Jungkook reached for your hand and intertwined his fingers with yours. Now we start a new journey together. You smiled at him, feeling truly happy for the first time in a long while. Thank you for watching. If you like the story, please subscribe.